August 15th, 2342, aboard the Hokuto ship, orbiting Gliese 12b. Silence consumed me as I drifted in the darkness of the ship, every sound amplified by the absence of gravity. Floating down the corridor with only a weak flashlight in hand, my eyes caught the cold gleam of the metal walls. The communication panel blinked irregularly, as if the ship were trying to warn me of something. I was alone, or at least that's what it seemed. I recalled the last moment of calm before chaos. It had been a routine check, a simple inspection of the life support system, nothing unusual. But as I walked through the corridors, I felt something strange in the air, a chill that raised the hair on my arms. I decided to check on the crew, and that's when everything turned upside down. In the control room, I saw Arjun and the others taking off their helmets. Arjun, always with that suspicious smile. But what I saw wasn't a human face. His features were distorted, his eyes large, his skin gray. Damn it, he was an alien. And he wasn't the only one. Everyone I'd called a companion was actually a being from another world. My stomach twisted and I took a step back, my rapid breathing echoing inside my helmet. "Surprised, Mori?" Arjun said, with that damn thick accent. He stepped closer, his gaze piercing, as if he could see through my soul. "Did you really think this mission was just exploration? That you were in charge?" His voice echoed, dripping with sarcasm. His words shattered my perception, making me realize just how foolish I had been. I wanted to run, to escape, but my feet felt rooted to the ground. I swallowed hard, feeling cold sweat trickle down my forehead. I didn't know what they planned, but the thought of being used as some sort of bargaining chip didn't sit well with me. The truth was clear as the blinking light in the room. I was a prisoner on the Hokuto, and my fate was in their hands. "You were never the objective, Mori," Arjun said, his voice low and sinister. "But now, it's too late to escape." He grinned, a look that stirred a mix of anger and fear within me. Then, before I could react, two of them seized me, dragging me forcefully to a makeshift cell on the ship. I was thrown into the cell, the door closing with a dull thud behind me. The only sound was my own heavy breathing. I closed my eyes, trying to piece together how the hell I had fallen into this trap. But something inside me knew I wouldn't sit idly by. I would fight, and they would pay for every damn word. The silence of the cell was broken only by my own thoughts, each one darker and more desperate than the last. Arjun had revealed too much. He and his crew had underestimated me, thinking I would passively accept the role of captive. But the truth is, in every mission I've ever undertaken, I've never been one to take orders quietly. I closed my eyes, and somehow, memories of my home in Tokyo resurfaced, small details I had once taken for granted. I wasn't going to die here, not without a fight. I took a deep breath, catching the metallic scent of the cell, and prepared for my next move. I tried to recall the internal schematics of the Hokuto. I'd studied every inch of this ship before the mission, knew its wiring inside out. I noticed a small ventilation grill above me. If I could crawl through it, I might reach the oxygen control section. I knew there was a locker with tools there. It was a slim chance, but the only one I had. With effort, I lifted myself and squeezed my body through the narrow vent. The cold metal scraped against my arms, and the sound of it echoing was nerve-wracking. One wrong move, and they'd find me crawling like a roach. But risking that was better than accepting my fate in that cell. As I emerged from the vent, the oxygen control room was empty, but I could hear heavy footsteps echoing in the nearby corridor. The aliens were patrolling, but they didn't seem to suspect I had already escaped. I moved toward a panel and found a small screwdriver. It wasn't much, but enough for a surprise attack. The footsteps got closer, and I took a deep breath, readying myself. When one of the aliens entered, I lunged without hesitation, driving the screwdriver straight into the base of his neck. He let out a grotesque sound, and his gray skin seemed to shudder. Before he hit the floor, I was already moving again, determined to keep the element of surprise. Each step I took brought a new rush of adrenaline. I was alone against an entire crew of beings who knew more about me than I could have imagined. But in that moment, fear gave way to a kind of clarity. I knew that, one by one, I'd take them down, and nothing would stop me. The next target was stationed nearby, seemingly distracted. Silently, I positioned myself behind him and struck again with surgical precision. The muffled sound of his body hitting the floor gave me the assurance that I was in control, at least for now. The fight had only just begun, and they had no idea who they were up against. As I advanced through the corridors, leaving a trail of alien bodies in my wake, the adrenaline began to fade, replaced by an eerie sense of emptiness. I no longer cared about the mission's purpose, about Gliese 12b, or any colonization plans. My sole intent was to survive. When I reached the command center, Arjun was the only one left. He stood there, waiting for me, with a calm, almost sympathetic look. "You really thought you'd win, Maury?" he asked, with no hint of fear in his voice. "Can't you see how manipulated you've been? Every move you made was part of the plan." He stepped forward, his face twisting with a strange expression, a mix of pity and satisfaction. "We would never need a captive if you were willing to fight for us." It was a mind game, but despite everything, I felt a pang of doubt. What did he mean, fight for them? Uncertain, I pointed the screwdriver at him, ready for any reaction. "Why did you choose me?" I asked, trying to keep my composure. Arjun sighed, and in that moment, something shifted in his face. A sort of hologram deactivated, revealing not only his alien form, but also a set of ancient symbols and runes covering his body. "We're merely soldiers in a far greater cause, Maury. This mission was just a test. We wanted to see how far humanity would go to survive. You've proven what we needed to know." A chill ran through me. It was as if my entire life had been watched by eyes I'd never known existed. Before I could respond, the ship's lights began to flicker. The floor trembled slightly, as though the ship were entering some kind of vortex. Arjun kept staring at me, now with a serene smile, but what he said next sent a shiver down my spine. "Maury, you are the true purpose of our mission? Gliese 12b was never the destination. Humanity stands on the brink of a cosmic war, and you've just been recruited. You are a weapon, and we, the aliens, are your allies. All of this was a simulation designed to unlock your potential." The room started dissolving around me, the walls turning into a sort of digital mist. The shock left me frozen. A cosmic war? Me? A weapon? It was like everything I thought I knew had been torn away in an instant. The walls and metal of the Hokuto transformed into bright stars, as if I were floating in the vastness of space. Arjun stood beside me, now fully revealed as an alien, his eyes glowing, as if holding entire galaxies within them. Suddenly, a holographic panel floated in front of me, displaying a vast army of humans and aliens, prepared to combat an unknown threat. My whole life had been manipulated, but now I was aware of the truth. The universe was at war, and I, the most unlikely soldier, had been chosen to lead the front lines. "Welcome to the true battlefield, Maury," Arjun said, as I took in the horizon filled with ships and cosmic lights. "The fight has just begun." It all made sense now. Every decision, every test, every trial. I was never just an astronaut on a colonization mission. I had been prepared, molded, and thrown into this cosmic simulation to become a living weapon. Gliese 12b was a facade, an illusion to push me to my limit. And now, I was facing something that went beyond mere human survival. With a mix of horror and excitement, I observed the army before me. Enormous ships hovered in space, bristling with technology that defied logic. There were life forms I had never imagined, luminous creatures, advanced robots, even beings that resembled demons and dragons from ancient legends, but in ethereal, energetic forms. Arjun turned to me, his eyes blazing with an intensity I had never seen. "These are the allies we've chosen. And on the other side lies the true threat. They aren't just enemies, Maury. They are world devourers, beings that consume entire planets to fuel their empire." I swallowed hard, trying to process what that meant. "And me? What am I in this war?" I asked, still incredulous, my voice almost a whisper. "You are the pivot, the missing link between the human race and the cosmic forces that guard the universal balance. Only you can lead humanity and these intergalactic allies against this threat." My heart raced. The revelation was overwhelming, but somewhere inside, something stirred. It was as if all the pieces were finally falling into place. I wasn't just a survivor, I was a warrior, a weapon crafted to protect what was left of humanity and perhaps the universe. "So what do I do now?" I asked, struggling to control the storm within. Arjun extended his hand, and suddenly, a holographic armor enveloped my body, as if it had been crafted specifically for me. The armor seemed to pulse with its own energy, adapting to each movement, each thought. "Now you lead, Mori," he said solemnly. "And remember, the future of countless species depends on you." Then I saw the enemy emerging on the horizon, a dark fleet that seemed to absorb all the light around it, as if drawing life from the cosmos itself. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also a newfound determination. Without hesitation, I stepped to the front, with Arjun by my side and the intergalactic army ready to follow my every command. The war had only just begun, but now I knew my place in it, and, for the first time, I was ready to fight.